You ever wonder why, despite all our best intentions, this dream of a world built on love always seems to just slip through our fingers? Well, we're going to explore that exact question. We're digging into a powerful idea that's captivated humanity for centuries: the search for a true, universal love, and why it seems to stay just out of our reach. I mean, think back to the flower children of the 1960s. It was a movement built on a really simple but incredibly powerful idea: peace and love. The thought was, hey, we can build a better, more harmonious world just by embracing this one core value. But like so many other noble movements before it, that initial spark, that enthusiasm, it just faded. The dream of a world run on love kind of morphed into something else, and it often got sucked up and twisted by the very systems it was trying to change. So what happened? Why does this pattern keep repeating itself over and over? To really understand why, we've got to look back way further than the 60s. According to the source material we're looking at, the roots of this problem go back about 2,000 years. Okay, so this timeline gives us a really fascinating perspective on our whole spiritual journey. It suggests we were on this specific path of development, right? It started with something basic, like nature worship, but that growth was supposed to continue, getting us ready for the next big step. And then Christ comes along and delivers this profound message of universal love, but, and this is the key part, according to the source, our development had stalled. We were left unprepared to really truly get. The whole idea was for us to move from a faith based on strict rules, kind of like children who just follow orders, to a deep conviction that comes from real understanding. But that big jump, it never fully happened. And this created a huge gap between the beautiful ideal of universal love and our actual ability to live it out. And that right there could explain centuries of failed attempts. So this brings us to a crucial question at the very heart of this search, and honestly, it feels more relevant today than ever before. Given this long and, let's be honest, kind of discouraging history of noble failures, you have to ask yourself, is it even possible? Can humanity ever really achieve this ideal of universal love? Well, the author of our source material, a man named Abdrashin, argues that the answer is a definitive yes. In his work, In the Light of Truth, The Grail Message, he explains that we've been missing something crucial this whole time. Actually, two somethings. And this is the absolute key point. True love cannot stand alone. It needs two essential pillars that, according to this source, we've misunderstood for centuries: justice and purity. Love needs them to be complete. Okay, so what in the world are justice and purity in this spiritual context? As we're about to see, the source totally redefines these powerful concepts in a way that might actually surprise you. See, our modern ideas have gotten pretty distorted. We tend to think of justice as punishment, and purity, well, that usually means chastity. But the source argues their true spiritual meanings are totally different. Justice is all about balance and reciprocity, a cosmic give and take. And purity? That's about having an unselfish will, lining up our personal desires with a much higher purpose. To make this less abstract, let's use a simple but really powerful example from the text. Just imagine a well-meaning, loving parent who gives their child every single thing they could ever want. In that relationship, there's no real justice. And why is that? Because the balance is completely broken. It's all giving from the parent and all taking from the child. And this doesn't just spoil the kid, it fundamentally breaks the spiritual law of balance and completely fails to prepare them for a life built on give and take. And this illustrates perfectly why our symbol for justice is a scale. It's not an accident. It represents this exact principle, this intuitive, ancient understanding that true justice is balance. And it's the same story for purity in this parent-child dynamic. The source defines purity as an unadulterated will. So when a child is taught that their own desires are the most important thing, their will becomes totally self-centered. They're using life's energy for a selfish will, instead of aligning it with a higher, unselfish one. And the consequences of this are profound. This lack of justice and purity in childhood can create a person who is fundamentally incapable of having truly loving, balanced relationships later in life. They just haven't learned the basic operating principles. So here's where it all comes together. The big point is that love, justice, and purity, they aren't three separate things. They're all interconnected through one single foundational concept. You could think of them as part of life's ultimate operating system. According to the source, these three virtues, love, justice, and purity, are simply different expressions of this same thing, the unwavering automatic laws of creation. They're like the physics of the spirit. These laws aren't just abstract ideas. They're described as the active operating will of the Creator. So, to build a life of love, or a society based on love, we first have to understand the foundational rules that govern existence itself. Ignoring them is like trying to build a skyscraper without understanding gravity. It's just not going to work. And this leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. After 2,000 years of searching, maybe the path to true love isn't about trying harder, but about understanding better. What could we actually build? What becomes possible when we finally learn to base our lives and our love on this unshakable foundation of creation's law?